I was wondering how Dennis would say that line, "You of little faith," which could be like there could be a period there. There could be a "You of little faith." There could be a "You of little faith." Of all the disciples, Peter of little faith, is the one to walk on water. And just suspend for a moment, if you will, whether the story is fact or metaphor, inspiration, miracle, whatever. And just consider, of all the people in the history of the world, you can count them up, lots of them, of all those people, it's this guy, a poor teenage fisherman who's not any good at his job. He never catches any fish. He is a hyper and aggressive punk who pushes Jesus to the edge of his patience all the time. His mouth and temper gets him in constant trouble. No matter how hard he tries, Peter can't stop messing up. Do you know any Peters in your life? Maybe you look in the mirror and Peter's there 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 20 years ago, maybe. It is a great mystery why Jesus chose any of these particular disciples. Most of them were boys with no skills, no future, no discernible value to the world. But why he chose Peter especially, and why he puts up with Peter, who can never quite understand the lessons, who is too fast to draw his sword, and then why Jesus eventually chooses Peter to lead the whole church. It doesn't make any sense. By any measure in the whole world, Peter was not good enough, not smart enough, not loving enough, definitely not thoughtful enough for anyone in the whole world except Jesus. When I feel most like Peter, it's like the 2 days after that argument, maybe with one of you, or maybe with someone in my life. It's 2 days after that argument, and I think, oh, I should have said that. And then that just sits there and gnaws at me that I should have said that. Or it goes the other way. When I feel most like Peter, I'm looking forward, and I'm thinking, how am I going to make it through this weekend? If I can just get all this done, everything will be okay. I'll be better if I get it all done. Or I wrestle with the right now. I wrestle with my own heart. If I can do more of that and less of that, if I can do that differently and do this exactly right, then, just then, I'll be okay. Which I'm never able to do, and yet things turn out just fine the way they were. When I feel most like Peter, there is a direct correlation in my head between getting it right and being just right. And that never seems to add up no matter how hard I try, no matter how much I succeed, no matter anything. So either I am not enough and I never will be, or my formula stinks. Either Peter will never be enough to walk on water, or it's not his enough that matters. And if it's not his enough that matters, it must be some other enough. Whose could that be in the story? Now I admit, that is a hard lesson to give that control, when buffeted by winds, to give that control to God. And I know, as a religious leader, that's the lesson I'm supposed to have down. I mean, you look at me as some spiritual guru, and no. Can't pull that one out here. No, some of you know me, and you know that sometimes, sometimes I'm quick to judge, like Peter. Sometimes I don't understand so quick. Sometimes, I'm not really that nice of a guy. Like, you two are new, so you don't know that, but kindness, like I can work on it, but sometimes I get angry. I get angry at myself. I get angry when I see people get hurt. I get angry when the people who do the hurting get away with it, and then others just say, "Oh, it's just politics. We can't talk about that." I get angry at things when they should work better. A couple of weeks ago, I'm running around my house. I know some of you have done this. I'm running around my house looking for my keys. I always put my keys on this counter, and if they're not in that counter, then they're in this bag. They weren't in the counter, they weren't in the bag. Okay? Did I leave them in the door? Sometimes I feel stupid when I do that, so I'll go check the door. Not in the door. In my ski bag? No, they're not in my ski bag. I'm running around using words that only like teenage fishermen would use, and I can't find the keys anywhere. Luckily, there was no one in my house when I'm doing this, because if there was someone in the house, you know how it goes. It's like, Alicia, where did you put my keys? Any guess where my keys were?
In your pocket.
Yeah, they're right there. I had taken that one off instead of the normal carabiner. Right in my pocket. I was turning my house upside down. I was searching for something I had all along. I was tearing myself inside out, seeking for something that was safe and present the whole time. I was desperate to find what I already had. The more that I dug, the more that I demanded, the further I was from realizing that I had it all along. And We're not talking about keys anymore, are we? Because when we give up the enoughs, when we accept that we are enough, when we trust that God is more than enough, the peace that we've been looking for, it's kind of right there. It's right nearby. It might not sink into us right away. It might just be a path, a journey of light that shines in front of us, waiting graciously. Yeah, but what if I don't have a path? Some of you think. Some of you are good arguing with God. What if the world's judgment is louder than God's holy acceptance? I mean, okay, God, heaven, forgiveness, mercy, grace. Okay, I get that. Great spiritual concepts. But in the day-to-day, the minute-to-minute, the looking for the keys, the anger at news, the busyness in my life, with all that stress every hour, pain around every corner, too often I'm coping in unhealthy ways. What then? What then? When the real stuff hits it. Peter, great example, but Peter's young. He doesn't understand like adult stuff, right? And he's not bright enough, so he just bumbles along on his own thing. He doesn't have much to hope for, but I have people like that I take care of. I'm important. My life is harder. What about people who are experiencing homelessness? Their life is harder than Peter's. And people blame them for their decisions. Blame them for how they've been victimized. It's even worse when people don't look at them. When someone's on the street, and they've been on the street, a victim of the kind of things any of us could fall victim to, and they're ignored. Jesus might pick a loser like Peter, but Jesus would never, ever pick a homeless transient. Except when Jesus chose to be a homeless transient to share his message. Okay, so homeless people. But what about addicts? I mean, addicts are really the screw-ups, right? Peter's got nothing on addicts. God would never pick someone struggling with alcohol or drugs or adult videos or any of that. And Jesus did not embody an addict, and there's no stories of recovering addicts in the Bible. And moreover, when you're strung out on that stuff, can you really pick God? You might say you want to, but every time you go home and show me what you really want. Addicts, they don't have much hope until they get clean, right? Except. Remember that whole baptism thing? In our church, maybe not the church you grew up in, but in our church we baptize babies. And the point of that is that God picks the child before the child can pick God. God picks you before you're clean, before you're straight, before you've got it all figured out. God picks you. You're already claimed and named. Your stains washed clean. The invitation to healing has been waiting for you the whole time. If you haven't been baptized, you're interested. That sounds like something you would really enjoy. You want to show God your appreciation for being picked. Come talk to me after church. The consequences of your life will not be washed away. The hard things that you've done to the people you've loved, the hard things you've done to yourself cannot be erased. But your life is not defined by your past. That's the good news of grace, especially when you're carrying the weight of shame. Amen? Amen. But that's shame on one level. What about, there's other shames out there. Like, this week there's some shame in the news. Shame of being gay. That one. Can we talk about that with kids in here? I hope so. Because this week the United Methodist Church, the third largest denomination in America, largest denomination ever to try to address the inclusion of LGBTQ people as a whole denomination, they finally took up that issue of whether gay folks can become pastors or be married in their churches. And the answer was, no. The answer was no. Actually, the answer was not yet. Maybe their church will grow toward inclusion. 10 years ago, the answer would have been no. But 2/3 of the American Methodist commissioners voted yes. But the Methodist Church is really big and has a lot of international folks who haven't quite got there yet, so it was 53-46 no%. Maybe they'll grow into inclusion. Maybe they'll split apart like Presbyterians did. Presbyterians are still fighting over. And in the meantime, their church body, they said to their brothers and their sisters and their friends, they said, you're not enough to preach God's news. You're not pure enough. You're still stained by who you are. You have too much of a stigma to be included. The church said that. Churches say that. Many churches will continue to say that. And it will fall heavy on a lot of hurting people. Except, here's the thing, the church is not God. Say that with me. The church is not God. You know that. Know that. God is always, always on the side of those who are kicked out, left out, and pushed out. God is always on the side of those who the world says is not enough. And even if you don't believe that, for those who can accept, if you, God is always there, being more than enough, of grace, of healing. And here's the kicker. God chose Peter. God chose David, this effeminate little boy with a bunch of big, tough brothers. God chose an angry drunkard Noah. God chose a sexless Ethiopian eunuch. God chose the hypersexualized Esther. God chose all these people who the world would never choose, and God could choose you. God might point to you through wholeness toward healing the broken parts in the rest of the world. To use your brokenness to put back together something in someone else's life. Make no mistake, the future of the church, the big church, is not in the hands of pastors fighting about any politicized issue. The future of the church is in the bloody hands of some transgendered kid fighting against a needle, trying to stop cutting their wrists, wondering why dad kicked him out of the house, wondering deeper why that church lady keeps inviting them into the church. That is precisely the person who Jesus invites to walk on water. And that is precisely the person into whom God invests the most love. And yet in the story, we love happy endings, but Peter, does he keep walking on water? No, he sinks. It's not a success story. Peter didn't get it right, and you could say, "O ye of little faith." Very judging. Except, I got to teach a kid with special needs how to drive a car many years ago. Most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. I got to, at 30 years old, got to learn how to ride a bicycle. I never learned as a kid, and so at 30, I sat on one and fell over all the time. I have not had the opportunity that some of you have had to teach a child to ride a bike. How many of you have taught a kid to ride a bike? A lot of you. So a lot of you get this. You understand, there's the training wheels that's going really well. And then there's the hold onto the seat and running alongside. And at some point, you get to that place where you know it's time. And you get there, and you're running alongside, and they're pedaling great. And you push them. And they wheel, crash, cry, scabs. And you understand. You're good parents. So you run right up to them, and you say, "Oh, ye of terrible bike riding skills." No. You come up and you say, "You were really close. You were almost there. I saw it in your eyes. I know you have the potential. I believe in you. I love you. You're just a little bit on the way to riding a bike. And together, we're going to get better. So keep coming to me. I'm right here for you. You fell again? Okay, let me help you out. Let's keep going. Here's my hand. You haven't got it all figured out? Okay, let's work on it together. I'll be there with you. You made another mistake? Okay. Do you really think that your mistakes can mess up